Are listening to Black Agenda Radio. I'm Margaret Kimberly. Zulu Sherrod is chairman of the New African Black Panther Party, which is based in New Jersey. He joined us to discuss his organization's work and relationship with Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. We began with a discussion of Ras Baraka's politics, but had a larger conversation about Black politics domestically and internationally. Tell our listeners about your organizations and your recent encounters with the Newark mayor and what it is that you want people to know about that.
All power to the people. First, let me thank you, Comrade Margaret Kimberly, for giving us a platform that we enjoy and want to be a part of, which is the Black Agenda Radio. Second, I want to give a strong shout out to all the comrades in the Second Rainbow Coalition, which consists of 10 other organizations along with us who are doing the same kind of work on the ground in the communities in which they are operating. And finally, a shout out to our lost, deceased comrade who was murdered recently here in the New Jersey State Prisons, Brother Beloved or Al Damani Kamal. So let's talk about the political skirmish and ideological difference that have emerged in the social practice of Ras Baraka and the New African Black Panther Party. So it was recently a comrade of ours, Captain Africa, asked Mayor Ras Baraka about housing here in the city of Newark, based on a report that was put out by Rutgers University that said something in the lines of 50 to 60% of public houses are now owned by LLC boys on Wall Street. And they use the money from the tenants to pay off their investors. Our captain asked him, is this a legitimate way to address gentrification in our community, since he comes out of a tradition that condemned this practice prior to him coming to office? There was a back and forth, words changed, and Ras weaponized the police, and they arrested Captain Africa for terroristic threats. So that's the backdrop to why I am here. If you notice, comrade, and the brothers and sisters that are listening to my voice, since January of 2019, when I came home from prison, not one time did I ideologically attack Ras Baraka, knowing that he was a cultural nationalist. Not one time did we utilize our media organs to attack Ras Baraka. What we did was build up our base area of social, cultural, and political power right here in this community. We did those things that are grassroots, fundamentals to any revolutionary politics. So when this contradiction happened with Ras about 2 months ago, we were in a position of strength. Our strength was the people. And Ras only had at its disposal the organs of state repression. And when we confronted Ras Baraka about a death threat that he sent out, and we have the video. It was on All Politics Local, where Ras Baraka was giving a talk about his animus towards Captain Africa and his distaste towards the New African Black Panther Party. He said that if somebody killed Captain Africa, no one would miss him. And we took that seriously. And revolutionaries around the world took that seriously. So we had to deliver a political consequence. We showed up at a men's meeting last Saturday that featured Charlemagne the God, who is a radio personality. He was talking about mental health. We went there not because we were excited to participate in Ra's event. We never participate in this event because they're nothing but incubators of capitalist ideas. You know, they're not incubators of empowering the masses of the people. When you go there, all he talk about is the black petty bourgeois class, opening up businesses, becoming a part of corporate America, developing those kind of institutions. So that's a waste of time for true revolutionaries who understand that we are oppressed and exploited by multinational corporations around the world, especially in Africa. So we went there to deliver what Huey P. Newton called a political consequence. We said that we were going to go down there, make our statement, and we were going to turn around and leave. But the moment I got out of the car, the police began to swarm us. Soon as we walked towards the building, they already knew that we were coming because, catch this, comrades, brothers and sisters, unbeknownst to us, they went to court and tried to get a restraining order saying that they did not want Captain Africa to participate or to be anywhere near Ras Baraka. The court said, no, that's a violation of his freedom of speech. But the court said, the police said to the judge, Your Honor, we also have an additional information. We are watching him every day, making sure that he do not harm the mayor or anyone connected to the mayor's family. And this is what the police told to the judge. And so that means if they're watching him, they're watching me. They're watching the organization. They're following us. They're tapping us. They're doing all the things that COINTELPRO did to disrupt our revolutionary enthusiasm that we have going on in the people in this community. But it didn't work. We showed up disciplined, strong. We made our statement, and then we got up out of there. But we were surrounded by, I would say, comrade, a dozen undercover Black police officers. They were wearing Timberland boots. They were wearing Nike tech suits. They were wearing the clothing that young people wear today. They surrounded us, and they began to bark in our face. And then some Sunni Muslims showed up that just got $100,000 for Ras Baraka. And they began to bark in our face. And then city employees, they showed up and began to bark in our face. But all the while, we maintained our discipline. And after I made the statement that we were not going to leave, we were going to hold this space for 10 to 15 minutes to assert our constitutional rights. That's when we turned around and left. But I don't know if you have followed what has been happening here in the city of Newark, New Jersey, but there is a strong polarization in the streets between the people that have to get up and work every day and the folks that are in a position of power, authority, and influence. And we have joined the line. We said that we're going to work on behalf of the people. And whoever don't like it, whether it's Ras or whether it's the next administration, we're going to continue to build base areas of social, cultural, and political power. So in a nutshell, that's what transpired, comrade.
Can you repeat for us what Captain Africa said that set the mayor off so badly?
I would like to ask you a question about housing. And Ras Baraka ignored him. And then he said, well, housing in the city of Newark are being sold to investors on Wall Street. We would like to know why you don't have a policy in place to address this gentrification. And because he used to work for Ras Baraka prior to him becoming a revolutionary, there was animus there. And so Ras simply gave him a flippant answer. And from there, it built into something which I explained.
It's just interesting to me that he would be so angry. Why do you think his question upset the mayor so much? What does that tell us about the mayor?
Well, I think that the mayor told us who he is. He said at his last state of the city address, quote, I don't know why people still consider me to be an activist. He said, I long left those practices. I am now a member of the Democratic Party. And based on that utterance, people in the city still gave him enough credibility to talk on the issues that affect our people. So he would go around talking about COINTELPRO. He would go around talking about the history of his father and what his father did to lay a foundation for him and his family in this city. And people gave him that respect. I think what exposed to him and what got him so upset was he was finally being exposed as a cultural nationalist and not as a revolutionary, because everybody else saw him as a revolutionary, but we saw him as a functionary of the Democratic Party. And I think that's what tipped him over the board, is the fact that, one, he didn't like Africa because that kind of question he just don't get. He don't get those kind of questions in the city. And it's a shame on the activists here. You got 1,000 different activist groups, Sister Margaret Kimberly, that were in the streets. They were stopping traffic. They were at police departments. They were in ports saying we need some of these jobs. The mayor, the moment Rise came to power, he brought all these groups off. He just gave out over $1 million to 10 different nonprofits that are so-called activist groups. So they have nothing to say about the neoliberal politics, the austerity measures that Rise Baraka are putting in place, because they got a big car out of this thing. They got a nice house. They don't have to live here in Newark, New Jersey. They can live in Maplewood. You know, they go to the big parties that Rise Baraka have. So these people are hirelings. They are flunkies. And we are the only voice that are speaking an alternative message to Rise Baraka and his flunkies, and he don't like that.
So what does this tell us about electoral politics? You know, many people were glad that Cory Booker was the mayor, and people were glad to see someone who they felt would follow the traditions of Black politics and really represent the needs of the people, but that's not what happened. So what does this tell us about the limitations of electoral politics?
Well, I think that Comrade Glenn Ford said it perfectly. The Black misleadership class are the individuals that came to power in 1972 and the Gary, Indiana Convention, where incidentally, Amiri Baraka was there. And their objective was to develop a political party that would challenge the other two established parties. We know what happened there, so I don't have to get into that history. But electoral politics for oppressed people is like asking which snake you want to die by, the boa constrictor or the viper. Both of them have the capacity to extinguish your life. The Democratic Party is the war party. It is the party of exploitation. It is the Jim Crow party. And our people have been duped by the Black misleadership class to believe that our interest is the same interest as McDonnell Douglas, who dropped bombs in Africa. That our interest is the same as McDonald's, who kicked peasants off the land to make tomatoes in Latin America. That our interest is the same as a Bill Clinton, who has used and exploited the cultural image of our people in order to pacify us so he could continue to rape and rob the Haitian people out of their resources in Haiti. Go back and look what they did, comrade, when the first earthquake happened in the mid-2000s. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton got with the Red Cross. They raised over $1 billion. And guess how many homes they built up to this date in Haiti? Yes, 600 homes. So what I'm saying to you is that the Black misleadership class are leading us down a dead end street. Our objective is not to accept capitalism, imperialism as a fundamental practice. Our objective is to overturn and destroy this system that is responsible for the misery of all oppressed people around the world. So it tells you, like Huey P. Newton said, we have two evils to fight: capitalism and racism. And the Black misleadership class have to decide they're going to get with the people or they're going to lay their fortunes down with the oppressor.
You mentioned the convention in Gary, and you said we don't need to go into it, but everybody may not know about the convention and its aftermath. Tell us a little about that.
In the early, I would say late 69, there was this drum beat at the 1964-65 Democratic Convention. I think it was in Atlantic City, where the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party under Fannie Lou Hamer and others said that we want a seat at the table, but we have our own voice. Lyndon Johnson don't speak for us, nor do anybody else. And the Mississippi Democratic Party raised the hope of the Black political class at the time. They saw an opportunity now to become a part of, or at least have a voice within the enemy power structure. So they had a big meeting in 1971 or 72 in Gary, Indiana, where they said that this is going to be our strategy. I think at the time they had like something about 2,000 Black elected officials or something to that effect. This is going to be our strategy. We're going to use the conditions in the community to elevate us to power. Once we get there, we're going to speak truth to power. The forefathers of who we have in power today in these urban areas. So I would say it was successful because the Gary, Indiana Convention propelled almost instantly, I would say, 15,000 Black political leaders, and that gave them a voice. That gave them some power. Now they begin to advocate not on behalf of the people, but on behalf of those things that will make their lives a bit more comfortable and the people around them are comfortable as well. So the Gary, Indiana Convention is the beginning, the foundation, the source, the origin of Black electoral politics. That is separate from the Democratic Party. Now, I say that, Conrad, because throughout our history, we have had Black elected officials elected. Right after the 1865 Civil War, you had Blacks elected up and down the South. So I want to make that distinction. They were not a part of the Democratic Party when they first met in Gary, Indiana in 1972. They were searching, they was looking for something. But since then, all of them have become beholden to electoral politics. They have become like a Gregory Meeks, nothing but a Black flunky. All he pushes the interests of corporate America. I don't give a damn how many bombs Africa Command can drop on Africa. This Black misleadership class will not come out and condemn what is transpired. In fact, they didn't even come out to condemn ECOWAS. That was threatening these up-and-coming, young, fresh faces who are overturning French colonialism in Western Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and I think it's one more. Nope, none of this Black misleadership class didn't come out to say, no, we're not going to allow ECOWAS, which is the flunky African Command, to start a colonial war on behalf of France and the United States. They didn't even come out to condemn Congress when they said, bring Assata Shakur back. These are the folks that are in power. Look what's happened in Jackson, Mississippi. Chokwe Lumumba Jr., the son of Chokwe Lumumba, one of the founders of Republic of New Africa, the New African Independence Movement, is in power. But Jackson, Mississippi is one of the poorest areas in America. But this is a so-called revolutionary leader. And you have the same thing in Newark.
The convention was in 1972. And yes, and it was historic, but not for the right reasons, which I suppose is what you're telling us. And ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States, which had threatened Niger. You mentioned Niger recently has a military government which is opposed to French influence, and ECOWAS acted on behalf of the United States in taking sides against Niger, and Nigeria even cut off their electricity at U.S. instigation. And we've talked about this before on Black Agenda Radio and in blackagendareport.com. So we still have work to do after all these years, after 50 years of fighting for some Black political power. This is where we are in the 21st century.
Power to the people. And What's important about this, comrade, and for brothers and sisters that will hear what I'm saying, this is a class struggle. Whether we want to admit it or not, we are currently being dominated within the Black communities by cultural nationalism, more concerned with opening up African schools, more concerned with learning Swahili, more concerned with developing Black businesses than empowering the everyday masses of people to become political agents of change for themselves. These people that are under this dominance, and this dominance springs out of these urban areas where you got Black mayors. It's fashionable to talk about Africa and its glorious past, to have a Kwanzaa event. But it's not fashionable to go in the community and say, you know what? This building been sitting for 16 years. I want y'all to take it and turn it into a cooperative. I'm the mayor. I don't give a damn who got something to say about it. That's the job of a Black mayor. If he want to be relevant to his people, is to say, I'm going to take these resources and give it over to my people. You throw me in prison for it, damn it, I served the cause. This is happening all around the world. Brothers and sisters right now in Palestine, by the thousands will be murdered. Babies, over 200 Palestinian babies are murdered right now. They are fighting a colonial war, a settler colonial war. And these Black misleaders, Ras Baraka, where's your statement supporting the Palestinians? You came out and supported Ukraine. You came out and said Putin was a dictator, a despot. What about Israel, who is murdering, assassinating men, women, and children who are only fighting for their human dignity? Where's your voice at? Chuckway Lumumba Jr. or Andre Dickens in Atlanta? So what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, and Sister Marguerite, I don't mean to preach, but it's important they understand that this is a class struggle between those who want freedom, justice, and equality around the world, and those who want to keep us down this dead end tunnel of electoral politics because it goes nowhere. George Jackson said the purpose of the Black politicians should be to go into Congress and disrupt it. Go into Congress and disrupt it. Fight for the people's liberation right there in Congress. We have never had that. That's why it was so easy to get a bill passed in Congress saying, bring Assata Shakur back to the United States. Imagine that. Imagine a liberation force like the July 26th movement. Or let's just come up to date, say a liberation force in Africa that is fighting to free itself from the shackles of colonial domination. And one of their fighters are captured by the enemy. And the enemy say, well, we're not going to turn her over. And the liberation force agrees with that. This is what's happening here in the United States. These Black leaders that are in power are not there to liberate. They are there to castrate, to assimilate, to bring us into a system that will only be what Brother Martin Luther King called a burning house. All power to the people.
And how do our listeners find out about the work of the New African Black Panther Party?
You can contact us here in Newark, New Jersey, at the Assata Shakur Community Center. That's 309 South Orange Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07102. You can go on our social media pages on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. I'm known as Zulu Sharad. You can send me a message. If you want to email me, that's zulusharad9@gmail.com. If you want to help financially support our political endeavors, especially get this community center that we own. Black revolutionaries own this building right here. If you want to support that, you can donate at our Cash App, which is NABPP05. NABPP05. And thank you, Sister Margaret Kimberly, for allowing us to have a voice on the left of the left. All power to the people.
And that was Zulu Sharad.